And when you say for better or worse, it can get worse. When you face through sickness and health, it can get the sickness. Amen. Y'all won't fall on me tonight, will you? Amen. Y'all won't fall on me tonight. I know. Amen. I married some prettier girls you ever seen walking on God's green earth. She was beautiful, but she got sick. Amen. She lost her eyesight. Amen. She lost her kidneys. We had to do dialysis 4 times a day. Amen. She lost one of her legs. Amen. She couldn't do nothing for herself. Amen. I held a job. Amen. I took care of her. I didn't hire nobody to do it. I could have, but I didn't. You know why? Because as a sinner boy back in that church that day, when I stood before that man of God and he said, will you take her for better or worse through sickness and health? I said, I will. Boys, I'll tell you what, it got rough, but I kept her. I held her close. I wasn't ashamed of her. I held her. Feel like preaching tonight to somebody. Amen. You may be looking at the wrong beauties now. He may not be as the beauty as you think he is. He may not be rainbow. He may be a devil in disguise. But I want to ask you. She went downhill. Her hands turned black. She wound up in the hospital. I sat with her for days. I never left her side. I had my own business so I could go. The last time I put her in the hospital, I closed revival on Friday, put her in the hospital on Saturday. I'm not asking for your sympathy, guys. I'm telling you, when you make a vow, you make a vow. So you better pick the right one, young folks. It ain't a trade-in every year. You can't do that. I ain't trying to change you old folks. I'm trying to keep these young ones from out of it. I ain't getting a lot of amens. But I'm telling you something, boys. I picked that girl up. She was still beautiful to me. I picked her up in my arms. And I'd carry her van and I'd set her in the front seat. I'd ride to the fanciest restaurant in town. I'd carry her in there holding her. I'd set her down in a chair. And eat lunch or dinner or supper with her. All the time. I didn't grow weary of it. I didn't grow ashamed of it. I'm going to tell you, I worked every day. There was nights that these eyelids never shut. There was nights that I went, for days with no sleep. Only 1 hour a day, and that was on the job site. I'd lay down and tell the boys I'm going to sleep. I'm telling you what, but it was for better or worse. Y'all better think about it. One of you may get sick. You may think about it when you're looking at them. They may not look that good after a while. But I took a vow. And laying in the hospital, the day after I closed revival, I sat down side of her bed. Reached over and got her hand. The doctor come to me and he said, I need to talk with you. I went out with him. He said, sir, I've never questioned you on your faith. I don't know what you are. He said, but I do know this. There's been times this woman's been to this point before. I've seen you walk out of that hospital. And in a few minutes, she made a turnaround. He looked at me and he said, don't do it this time. Don't do it. I said, doctor, you don't understand. She's mine. He said, I'm fixing to take off both arms and her other leg. I said, I don't care. She's mine. That's the reason God's anointed me to preach, because I stayed faithful. I didn't find me another one and all that either. Whew. Amen. I wasn't looking for another one. I had one. I didn't want another one. It's the reason God has blessed me. Amen. I want to tell you. Amen. But I stood there and I sit there for 30 days. And finally she looked up and the power of God fell in that hospital room. Oh, the glory of God. Amen. Fell there that day. Amen. Oh, amen. And she arose up and looked around. I'll tell you where she was at. She was looking at heaven. She was looking at the very presence of God. She looked up and looked around. She said, would anybody else like to testify? Nobody wasn't saying nothing. She was hearing from God. Can I tell you, church? Hold on. There's a Deborah. There's a Samuel. There's a David. There's a Joshua. Amen. There's a Caleb. Amen. There is a Paul. Amen. There's a Matthew. There's a Mark. There's a Luke. There's a John. Amen. There's some here tonight that can greet the greatest men of God. Give me a Deborah. Above Jezebel. Give me a David beyond the strong one. And I'll take the church back. Stand all over the church.